Many women don't quit drinking because something is wrong. They quit drinking because something is deeply calling them home. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Mary Wagstaff. I am a holistic sobriety coach for women. We work through the lens of empowered feminine sobriety. And this is really about clear seeing beyond distortion and not just the removal of substances or alcohol. This is an episode I've been wanting to do for a really long time. And I was finally called to do it. Is God calling you to sobriety? And I wanted to start this episode by saying, I am not the authority on your spirituality. I truly believe spirituality is an extremely personal journey that evolves as we evolve. And many people listening to this show will have their own faith that's instilled in them. Some of them are on a journey of exploration and understanding what does that mean to you. And for many years, and this will be a series, so we'll be talking more about God inside of our sobriety journey, because I know that for many that come to me or that look for alternatives to traditional recovery models, it is because they are turned off by the necessity to kind of surrender their will to a higher power. And in our next episode, we're actually going to kind of demystify what that really means and how we can use our spirituality and our holistic self, mind, body, heart, and soul to create a sustainable and deeply, deeply satisfying life and a deeply satisfying experience through the journey of sobriety and on. My spirituality and my relationship to God has deeply informed this work and my entire life. So I would really be selling myself short and selling you short if I didn't speak directly to this. So there are many reasons and many signs that God may be calling you to sobriety, but today I'm going to speak about 4 of them, and we will continue this conversation in depth in some later episodes. And I've, alluded to spirituality in all of my work and in all of my teachings because we are not separate from our divine nature. We are here living both a divine and human experience, and we know this through the experience that we have by tuning into and cultivating the witness consciousness, which we will talk about more in next week's episode, which will be all about, is God required in your sobriety? And so make sure you tune in for that. And like I said, take what resonates and leave the rest. There is no formula for living. We are all just children figuring it out as we go. I've never lived this day. Neither have you. I've never had this exact experience. And we can add on to our learned experience, but oftentimes we learn as we go. And this is why we have to have compassion for ourselves. So the first sign that God may be calling you to sobriety, and insert whatever word works for you, love, is that you are having a mental tug of war. And this is very common for most people, a love-hate relationship. And in A Course in Miracles, they say, if you have seen without love, you have seen wrong. Because if you've seen without love, you have seen the opposite of through the eyes of God, through the eyes of the Creator. And what that then is fear. So that tug of war is really the fear of change. But the love is really the fear of remaining the same and knowing that there is something beyond the kind of status quo of the repeat behavior that maybe was once working for you and honestly was part of your journey, or it wouldn't have happened because, and we'll probably get into this more, I do believe either life is working for you or on you, and this is how God shows up in our lives to work on us, to strengthen our vessel, to become the versions of ourselves that are required for our mission here. That mental tug of war means that you have not resigned yourself to a life of alcohol. And this is a sign that there is connection to a voice that is coming through you saying, this is not as good as it gets. And that is the voice that when I do my work with my clients, we want to amplify. That is the voice of your intuition, the voice of your connection to the divine realms, the voice of source, of your higher self. We have that distinction between the ego self and the source self. And this is the first sign. So if you have not resigned yourself to a life of alcohol and you know there is something waiting for you, but it feels really scary right now, and it feels like a big unknown and kind of a leap of faith, you are on the right track. All we need to do is turn up that voice and turn down the voice. And we have many, many methods to get you there safely without jumping into the abyss. And, sometimes we do just have to rip the Band-Aid off and know what's the worst thing that can happen. But, that's what I really pride myself on doing, is taking you safely through that journey. The second way that you might know that God is calling you to a life of sobriety is alcohol is in the way of your purpose. And you might not know what your purpose is, but you know that there's another expression of you that's ready to come forward. So many women, probably every single woman that comes to me, is at a point where they are finding their purpose in a new way. So whether they were mothers and their children are leaving the home, maybe they were divorced, they're entering a new phase of their life through perimenopause. There's a threshold that they're crossing where what was their purpose, which might have just been growth and figuring it out, kind of moving through this rite of passage moment of maidenhood into motherhood, and now it's motherhood into this next phase. Regardless if you're a biological mother or not, we all move through these archetypal energies. There is something that actually starts to shift in the brain as well, that shifts our awareness from having to be the everything to everyone all the time to what is this deeper expression for me, and how do I want to carry this out in my life? And it can be very confusing because our identity, is wrapped up in our purpose, in the way that we move through the world. And it doesn't have to be some big grandiose gesture. It doesn't have to be about changing career, but it could also be that too, where there's just something calling you to go deeper. But there's that voice again that's amplified, that you can't have the clarity and the intentionality that you need, and really tapping into the voice of your intuition that you need when alcohol is in the way, because it creates a distortion. It's you're spending more time focused and thinking on that than you are what is my mission here? What's my sole purpose? And it's getting in the way of that. So if there is a sign, or you might even know what that purpose is. And I know for me, I knew that I could never walk my talk and really be the leader and the teacher that I wanted to be, and that I was meant to be in this world, and the mother that I was meant to be, while alcohol was still in the way, because it was really limiting my capacity to show up in the way that I really wanted to show up. So I knew that my purpose was being stunted through alcohol. But also inside of the journey of sobriety, there is an exploration of what is your purpose, because that might not be clear to you right now. And the third reason or sign that God is calling you to sobriety, and a bigger expression of yourself, is that you are being confronted by something very blatant in your life. You're having kind of a mirror moment where there is something that's being reflected back to you that you can't turn away from. You're starting to see with sober eyes, see the relationship much more clearly of alcohol than you had before. There's a new level of awareness. There's kind of a switch that has flipped for you. And this is a sign that you're being presented with new information, new awareness, and you're awakening to what God wants you to see about this relationship, so that you can have the clarity and the courage to change. This could be, you're friends with people and you have observed them in maybe the way alcohol is affecting them, and it's been very clear and obvious to you, wow, that's what this looks like from the other side. For me, it was when I had my son. He was this mirror reflecting right back to me of knowing, oh my gosh, he is seeing everything that I'm doing, being hung over in bed with a crying baby, or, feeling the effects of alcohol the day after, and being hung over with a crying baby that I have to take care of. There's nothing like that to really crack your heart wide open and really take a deep look at the path that I'm going down and I will continue to go down. And, alcohol is a spectrum of use and dependency and frequency and duration, but it is all about the results you're getting. I knew I wanted to have every opportunity I could to be as fully present and fully engaged with capacity to hold, the frustration that comes with motherhood, or the tenderness and that deep reverence for those moments that only happen once. I really wanted to have that. And so there was this mirroring and this reflection back to me. There could be a health concern. And I just got off the call with a client who said, I feel like it's the perfect time right now because things are shifting for me in my body, and it's being amplified to me that I'm in control, and I can continue to make excuses for it, or I can take control where I can. And these are opportunities to really know that there are signs that you have the capacity to create change, because you're not seeing them as a victim anymore. You are seeing them through the lens of personal responsibility, and that this change is required for you to get and to be living the life that you were meant to live and that you truly desire to live. And the fourth and final thing that I will talk about today is a sign that God is calling you to sobriety, is simply your desire to have a deeper relationship to God, to the divine, to the beloved, and to yourself. And this is, in Christianity, they say we find God through the Son, and the Son is inside of us. We are the children, and that is how we access the divine, through our own gnosis. And this is my perspective. But we have to be able to have that moment of clarity, that deep internal reflection, to be in communion with Source, with our higher channel that is connecting us to that divine spark inside. And that spark never dies, but often it is being very muted, and it has dimmed your light. The energy of alcohol is a very low frequency. It creates holes in your auric field, this energy field that lives around us. And so we're leaking energy. And when we're leaking energy, we cannot take all of our presence and all of our focus to put it on that which creates deep, deep meaning and deep satisfaction. So oftentimes, either you have a spiritual practice and a practice of faith, but maybe it's been kind of lackluster and you haven't been able to really feel that depth because there's something in the way, or it just doesn't feel consistent. You do a little bit of this, you do a little bit of that, you feel called to things, but there's no real consistency of how do I really go deep? Well, I will tell you, my sister, the journey of what is required for sustainable sobriety through the lens of an empowered approach, a holistic approach, is about you having the experience of going inward, really honoring your human experience and honoring the divine messages that are coming through, because they work in tandem. Our human experiences aren't just random. We have messages from our body. We have messages from our emotions that are going to cue us into what we need, that is different from kind of the linear achievement, moving from A to B status that we have been taught more here in the West, that we go through the motions and we look for external achievement and then we're satisfied. And we can go much deeper into the feminine exploration, which I've shared a lot here on this channel about meeting our needs as women and how we have really turned away from even understanding what our needs are as women because we have been functioning so much through the masculine lens in a place of overachieving and also trying to be in that feminine caretaking and really selling ourselves short by not taking time to really have our own back. And so alcohol has been used as this tool to meet our needs from a false place, to meet them temporarily and really to silence them. I would absolutely love to hear what is calling for you, how this is showing up for you, and how you know that God is calling you to sobriety.
As a very special thanks for being part of the show, I wanted to gift you a free mini training that I created called the Permission Protocol. It's a 5-part series, 5 short videos that are really the journey of using feminine exploration as the means to release alcohol, but to also awaken into sober living, to remove yourself from distortions. So it's the feminine exploration of pleasure and permission giving that actually gets us to where we want to go. And it is a wild journey of freedom and really the unimaginable for what's possible for you through releasing alcohol, but also what you've been looking for from alcohol that's on the other side. Visit my website, marywagstaffcoach.com, or follow the link right here in the show notes, and I will see you next time. Have a beautiful day.